Hello everyone. In the last part, we made a basic to-do application with CRUD operations using reactive programming. But we left it with the problem of redundant get API call after each operation. I'm going to show you again for the recap. Let me try to do a delete. This is the first get API call we did. Let me clear the network tab and let me do the delete. Delete happened, and after that, we are calling the get API again. Okay. Let me do the update. Go to shopping, go to mall. And after this put API call, we are retrieving the to-dos again. And that appears to be completely unnecessary since we already have the data and the information we need to display the updated screen. Right? In the case of add, in the case of update, and in the case of delete, our mark is completed. As you can see, let me try to add something and save. In this post API call, I'm getting even the ID of that new to-do. So we don't really need this get API call again, isn't it? So we are going to get rid of this redundant network trip this time. For this, we need to modify our to-dos observable. So how we are going to do that is, okay, let me try to have another observable called latest to-dos. And we are going to start with the initial to-dos. So our initial to-dos could look like this dot fetch to-dos. Just a note that this is still an observable and we haven't triggered any API call until unless we subscribe to it or we chain it to another observable that we subscribed in our component. I'm going to chain it here, this dot initial to-dos. Okay, how I'm going to chain it is, first I want to hit this network request and afterwards I want to continue listening to my events, maybe to-do added or to-do deleted, etc. So for that, let me use the switch map like I used previously. This dot to-dos affected. Okay. To-do affected, again to repeat, is an event we'll get after we are done adding the to-do or updating the to-do or deleting the completed, etc. But for the very first time, what this observable is going to get for the very first time after we refresh the screen, it's not going to get anything. This observable is not going to emit anything. Why? Because this observable hasn't emitted yet. So this inner observable also has to emit. So let me use start with operator to do that for us. So initially, what value do we really want to get? Let's start with this to-dos, the initial to-dos. If it gives us the initial to-dos, that is also okay. But for the very first time, this is fine. But after this observable emits, what is it going to give us? It is going to give us this. The to-do item, the new to-do item or the deleted or the updated to-do item. But we need a list here, isn't it? So let's try to do something like this. We're going to map it, and if we are getting the to-do item, we simply, let's just say this time I'll make this events, right, this to-do affected, emit a callback function for me. And by having a callback function, something like this, I'm going to call this callback function with, I got the callback function, and I'm going to call the callback function with the to-dos or the initial to-dos to get my result. That's fine. But as of now, I haven't made these observables. or the to-do affected emit any callback function for me. So before going ahead, I want to show you something. And the concept which you can apply here. The concept is, if we have an array of callback functions, say, this callback function will be called with some array, and this does cool, and it appends one item at the end, again 2, and again this time I'm gonna do array.map, and whatever value you got, just multiply it with 2. Cool. So this is our list, let's say, right? This is our list of callback function. Why I gave an example of array? Because this observable is also like an array in terms of it is a stream of events with respect to time, with the passage of time. Stream of events we are getting. Okay. And these events could have a value of callback function, which we are going to utilize in this way. Okay. List dot reduce. Okay, I'm going to write the syntax. And we are going to start with the initial value of an empty array, right? Okay, this is the syntax. And each value is nothing but a function. And if you see how I am gonna derive to my next accumulated value is just by calling this function with the latest accumulated value, right? What does it give us? It gives us 2 and 4. Try to wrap your head around it and see how we got 2 and 4. It's simply by calling each callback function. Like for example, for the first iteration, it's called with the empty array. Empty array is concatenated with 1, so it gives 1. Latest accumulated value is array with single element 1, right? And then next time we call another callback function, but this time this is not an empty array anymore. It is already having 1. Then it is going to be concatenated with 2. So in the second iteration we have 1, 2, and in the third iteration we are calling that function this time with map, and this particular function basically it's going to multiply each element by 2, and that's how we got our result. The same concept we are going to apply soon enough here, but how? Okay, so before that, let me map this thing to give me a callback function. So this time for the callback function, I'm gonna map it to what? It is gonna give me a to-do that I know, and simply I am gonna, so this time I have to return a callback function, isn't it? So this is our callback function. Let's write our callback function like this. This callback function is receiving to-dos, and let's say it returns the same to-do, and that we can return here. I know simply it doesn't really do much, but it's gonna prove this concept to you in just a few moments. Okay, why is it showing this error? There has to be something. Okay. Okay. That's right. There is some problem here. What is the problem? Why it's saying cannot find map? Did you mean map? Okay, I have to import it from RxJs. Yeah, cool, good enough. So our to-do affected is also returning a callback function, right? And as of now, as we can see, the callback function is again giving us the same to-dos. As you can see here, right? In the callback function, it is giving us the same to-dos. That's why our update, delete, or add is not going to affect this rendered list. So for that to take an action, I have to copy this latest to-do and replace our existing occurrence of to-dos in our component. Let me save this and let's try to delete something. See, nothing happened. Although that delete API call happened, but it didn't really affect this rendered list. For doing that, one thing we realized is these callback function has to be different for different events. These callback functions. So let us do that. So what is going to be our callback function for add? For example, on added, the callback function is, it is gonna append to the existing to do this new to do concat. But we should get the new to do as well, right? So for doing that, I'm gonna make it a function that returns a function. And here we can get our new to do, and this function is returning this function, and this function will be called by our main observable here in this way. Let me close this. Okay, concat this new to do, right? And let me comment these three events for now, and let's try only for the add event. Let me return this on added, and this is the new to do we got. Okay, it'll work fine, but still there is a problem, if you can figure out. And the problem is at line number 57. This, let's see what it is. This is our initial list of to-dos. Okay, cool. Now we try to add some items. Maybe say item number 3. Okay, no problems as of now. But now I'm gonna add my item 4. Carefully see what happens. If I save it, the item 3 is replaced by item 4. Why? Because it still worked on the initial list and not on the latest list. See, this was our initial list. It appended to the initial list and returned the result and didn't consider the latest list. That was these two items plus the previous item, that is item 3, right? So let's try to correct that. Why it happened is because we are still working on the initial to-dos. I am sending this initial to-dos to my callback function here, and it is simply concatenating the new to-do to that list of initial to-dos. But I do not really want that, right? So I'm going to utilize this concept we just saw previously, this reduce concept, and for that I need an RxJs operator, right? So let's try to figure out what exactly that could be. I came to RxJs.dev, get started, and I'm going to go to operator decision tree to find my operator. We have one existing observable, and this doesn't seem right. I want to compute a formula using all values emitted. So I want to compute the latest accumulated list of to-dos using all the values emitted, right? But I want to output the computed value or the accumulated latest to-dos when the source emits a value, as in when the source is emitting during that time. And hence I got my scan operator. Let me click the scan, and this is the syntax, and what it says is it's like reduce, like we saw earlier, but emits the current accumulation state after each update. After each update, it accumulates it. So 1 plus 3 is 4, and 5 plus 4 is 9. That's how it operates. So let me just try to write that down. Let me comment this map and instead have my scan operator here. Let me write the syntax. This is the accumulation. This is the current value. Current value for us is nothing, but it is going to be the callback function. Okay. And the initial value that we start with is the existing to-dos. That is going to be the first value for us. So to-dos. Now, let me import the scan from RxJs. Okay. Now, how do we derive the next accumulated value? How do I evaluate that? As we saw, I'm going to derive that using this callback function, the receive. Invoking this callback function with whatever I got previously, or with, so for the very initial time, for first time, it's going to be called with this to-dos, the initial to-dos, and the next time, the result of this previous result. Okay. Let me save this and let's see if our add is working or not. So let me try to add my item 5. Item 5. Save it. Okay, it got appended successfully. Item 6. Oh, it worked. Nice. And in the request, I can see the get request called only for the initial first time, and afterwards post request, and we do not need that network trip of get request again. Okay, so likewise, I'm gonna have my callback function for on deleted, on completed, and on updated. Let me try to replicate that now. On deleted. So what is the logic for on deleted? This is the to-do which got deleted or which is supposed to be deleted, and this is our existing or the latest to-do list, and we have to return the to-dos but without this particular to-do. So for doing that, it is going to have this logic of dd.id should not be equal to this to-do that got deleted. Filter out that particular to-do and we are good. Let's see if a delete. Okay, for doing that, since we need different callback function for different operations, so now I'm gonna have to pipe these things at each level. Cool. And this, but here I'm gonna have on deleted. Let's have concise code here. Okay, so instead of doing that, cool, we can write it that way also, since this function will be called with whatever value this to do deleted observable is going to emit or give us. Okay, let's see if our delete is working also or not. Let me try to delete this particular item. Oh, it worked. Let me try to delete this 6th item. This is also working and as expected. Similarly, I'm going to write the callback for on completed and here I have to update the completed status of this particular to-do in the list. So I'm gonna return to-dos. If the current to-do dot id is equal to this to-do dot id, I have to update the completed status only. I'm good. Otherwise, return the same TD. Similarly, for on updated, this callback function, but in this case, I have to replace the entire to do. And we are good. Let me tie it to these observable pipe map and this dot on completed. This dot on updated. Cool, good enough. Code is clean, separated, and let me delete this since it's not needed anymore and save it. Oh, it gave one error and it's, where is it? Huh, I skipped this comma. Okay, so this is my initial GET request for retrieving the to-dos, and afterwards let me clear the network tab. I'm gonna do delete, single delete, and the operation is happening successfully, rendering the updated list. And on top of it, I'm gonna do an add, say item 5 again, save it. Yeah, it's adding properly after doing the post call. And let me try to update this thing. Go somewhere. Yeah, it's updating also. And let me mark something as completed. It's happening, and no further get API call. That was redundant. Okay, we are done with the refactoring. Yeah, that's it for now. Next time we are gonna see how we can achieve the same thing in a much cleaner fashion. Thank you. That's it for now.